Commander Jack Porter stood alone on the observation deck of the Pathfinder. The stars stretched out before him, endless and bright against the darkness of space. He took a deep breath, feeling the gentle hum of the ship's engines through the deck plates. This was humanity's first and only real starship, their first real step into the wider universe. And it had worked. After decades of sending signals into the depths of space, someone had finally answered. "Commander," a voice came through the ship's speakers. "The Coalition representatives are ready to speak with us again." "I'll be right there," Jack said, taking one last look at the stars. The Galactic Coalition had made contact 3 months ago. A group of 50 alien species working together, exploring and trading across hundreds of worlds. They had invited Earth to join them, to become part of something bigger. There was just one problem. Jack made his way to the bridge, nodding to crew members as he passed. Everyone was tense. This meeting would decide humanity's future among the stars. The bridge was quiet as Jack took his seat in the command chair. The main screen showed only stars for now. "Open the channel," he ordered. The screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. Ambassador Nex had blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights of his own ship. His 4 eyes blinked at different times, and the thin tentacles around his mouth moved constantly. "Commander Porter," Nex said, his voice translated through the ship's computers. "Have your leaders considered our requirements?" Jack nodded. "They have, Ambassador, but I'm afraid we have a problem." "Oh." All 4 of Nex's eyes focused on Jack. "Your membership requirements state that all new species must have a defense fleet of at least 50 warships to join the Coalition." "That is correct," Nex said. "All member species must be able to protect themselves and contribute to Coalition security." Jack gestured around him. "This is the Pathfinder, Earth's first and only interstellar ship. It took us 15 years and nearly all our spare resources to build her." Nex's tentacles twisted in what Jack had learned was a sign of surprise or disappointment. "1 ship? That's hardly a defense force. You'll need at least 50 warships to be considered for membership. Building 50 more ships like the Pathfinder would take centuries at our current level of production," Jack explained. "Is there no other way?" The alien's eyes narrowed. "The rules are clear, Commander Porter. The Coalition cannot protect species who cannot protect themselves. It would drain our resources and put too many lives at risk." Lieutenant Mike Reed leaned toward Jack from his station at Tactical. "They don't understand what we can do," he whispered. Jack nodded slightly. The aliens didn't know about humanity's unique advantages. On Earth, humans had evolved on a planet with higher gravity than most Coalition worlds. They had survived alongside dangerous predators and through countless natural disasters. This had made them naturally stronger and more adaptable than many alien species. But their real advantage was something else entirely. "Ambassador," Jack said carefully, "perhaps we could demonstrate our capabilities in another way. My orders are to meet with Coalition representatives, assess your technology, and determine if an alliance is in Earth's best interest." Nex seemed to consider this. "I suppose a demonstration could be arranged once you reach Coalition space. We are eager to welcome new species, even limited ones." Jack fought back a smile. The aliens had no idea what humans were capable of. "Thank you, Ambassador. We'll arrive at the Coalition station in 3 days." As the communication ended, the bridge crew looked at Jack. "They think we're weak," Lisa Grant said from her communication station. Her neural implant glowed softly at the base of her skull, just like the implants all the crew members had. "Let them," Jack replied. "Better to be underestimated." These neural implants were humanity's secret weapon. Developed 30 years ago, they allowed humans to connect directly with machines. Jack and his crew didn't just pilot the Pathfinder. They could become one with it. Their minds could merge with the ship's systems, allowing reaction times and coordination far beyond what any conventional pilot could achieve. The Coalition didn't know this. They thought humans piloted their ships like they did, with physical controls and computer assistance. They were wrong. 3 days later, the Pathfinder approached the massive Coalition space station. It was a beautiful structure, like a metal flower blooming in space, with ships of various sizes and shapes coming and going. "It's incredible," Lisa whispered, staring at the view screen. Jack nodded. "And soon, we'll be part of it." Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. 3 ships approaching fast. Mike called out from tactical. "They're not responding to hails, and their weapons are powering up." Jack turned to his first officer. "Raiders." Commander Tom Wilson nodded grimly. "Ambassador Nex warned us about them. They target newcomers to Coalition space, thinking they'll be easy prey. Coalition defense forces are still 10 minutes out," Lisa reported. Jack's hand moved to the base of his skull, where his neural implant was located. "We don't need help," he said quietly. The bridge crew exchanged looks. They knew what he was suggesting. "Sir," Mike said, "if we show them what we can really do." "The Coalition will have questions," Jack finished. "But better that than being destroyed before we even get a chance to join." The raiders were closing fast. 3 sleek, predatory ships with weapons much more advanced than Earth's conventional technology. "They're scanning us," Mike reported. "Getting ready to fire." Jack nodded and closed his eyes. "Bridge crew, prepare for neural interface." Each crew member placed their hands on special panels at their stations. The neural implants at the bases of their skulls began to glow brighter. "Should we hail Coalition defense?" Lisa asked. "No need," Jack replied, his voice becoming strangely calm as his consciousness expanded into the ship's systems. The Pathfinder was no longer just a vessel he commanded. It was becoming an extension of his body. Its sensors became his eyes, letting him see in all directions at once. Its hull became his skin, feeling the faint pressure of radiation from the nearby star. Its engines became his legs, ready to move with impossible precision. The rest of the bridge crew joined him, each connecting to their own systems: weapons, shields, communications, engines. Together, they weren't just 5 humans operating a ship. They were becoming the ship itself. On the Coalition station, Ambassador Nex watched with pity as the raiders approached the lone human vessel. "Poor creatures," he said to his aide. "Their first contact with the wider galaxy. And they face pirates. We should have sent an escort." Then he watched in confusion as the human ship suddenly moved with impossible speed and grace. The raiders fired, but the Pathfinder seemed to know where the shots would go before they were fired, slipping between energy beams with precision that defied belief. "What are we seeing?" Nex's aide asked in shock. The answer came a moment later, as the human ship fired back. Its weapons weren't particularly powerful by Coalition standards, but every shot hit with perfect accuracy, disabling the raiders' engines and weapons without destroying the ships. In less than 2 minutes, all 3 raider vessels were drifting helplessly in space. "Impossible," Nex whispered. "No pilot could react that quickly." But humans could, and the Coalition was about to learn that when it came to humans, they had much to learn. Ambassador Nex could not believe what he had just seen. The human ship had defeated 3 raider vessels in less than 2 minutes. It had moved in ways that should not be possible for a ship of its size, reacting faster than any pilot he had ever witnessed. "Send a security team to escort the human ship to Docking Bay 4, Nex ordered, his 4 eyes still fixed on the view screen, "and inform the High Council. They need to see this." Jack Porter disconnected from the neural interface, feeling the familiar disorientation as his consciousness returned fully to his body. Around him, the bridge crew did the same, each taking deep breaths as they readjusted. "Status report," Jack said, his voice slightly hoarse. "All systems functioning normally," Tom replied from the first officer's station. "Minor power drain from the rapid maneuvering, but nothing serious." "The raiders?" Jack asked. Mike checked his tactical display. "Disabled but alive. Coalition security vessels are moving to pick them up." Lissa looked up from communications. "We're receiving a transmission from the station. They're directing us to Docking Bay 4 and sending an escort. Jack nodded. Well, we definitely got their attention. Do you think we showed too much? Tom asked quietly. Maybe, Jack admitted. But we're here to negotiate an alliance. They need to know what we can really do. The Pathfinder followed the Coalition security vessels toward the massive space station. Up close, it was even more impressive. A structure larger than anything humans had ever built, housing representatives from 50 different species. Look at the size of those ships, Mike said, pointing to several massive vessels docked at the outer ring of the station. Each one was at least 20 times larger than the Pathfinder. They build big, Jack agreed. But bigger isn't always better. As the Pathfinder approached its assigned docking bay, Jack addressed the crew over the ship's internal communications. Everyone, remember why we're here. We represent all of humanity. The Coalition has technologies and resources we need, but we also have something they want, even if they don't know it yet. Be respectful, but don't let them talk down to us. The docking procedure went smoothly. The Pathfinder settled into place with a gentle thud as magnetic clamps secured it. Prepare to receive boarding party, Lisa announced. Ambassador Nex is coming aboard with 6 security officers. Jack straightened his uniform. Let's greet our hosts. Ambassador Nex had seen many new species join the Coalition over his long diplomatic career, but none had made such an immediate impression as these humans. As he walked through the airlock onto their ship, he tried to hide his curiosity. The humans looked remarkably similar to several other bipedal species in the Coalition, though their lack of any visible modifications or enhancements seemed primitive. Most advanced species had some form of visible technology integrated into their bodies. Commander Porter, Nex said, extending his upper arms in the traditional Coalition greeting. That was an impressive display. Jack smiled, mimicking the greeting gesture. Thank you, Ambassador. I hope it demonstrates that while we may only have one ship, it's quite capable. Nex's eyes fixed on Jack. How did your vessel move with such precision? Our sensors indicated maneuvers that should have killed any pilot due to the gravitational forces involved. Jack exchanged glances with his crew before answering. Perhaps we could discuss that during our official meeting. I believe we have much to share with each other. Nex nodded, though his facial tentacles twitched with barely contained curiosity. Of course. The High Council has requested your presence immediately. They are most eager to meet you now. The Coalition Council chamber was a vast, circular room with rising tiers of seats, occupied by representatives from dozens of alien species. Jack and his senior officers, Tom, Lisa, and Mike, stood in the center of the chamber, feeling the weight of hundreds of alien eyes upon them. High Counselor Wren, a tall, slender being with silvery skin and elongated limbs, addressed them first. Commander Porter of Earth, welcome to Coalition space. Your arrival has generated considerable interest, particularly after your encounter with the Raiders. Thank you, High Counselor, Jack replied. We come seeking friendship and alliance. Yet you have only one ship, another council member called out. Our records show your species has achieved faster than light travel only recently. How can you hope to contribute to Coalition security with such limited resources? Jack stood straight, looking directly at the council. It's true that Earth has only recently developed starship technology. Building the Pathfinder required tremendous resources, but what we lack in numbers, we make up for in other ways. Yes, Nex interjected. We witnessed some of these. Other ways. Perhaps you could explain how your ship performed as it did. Jack took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. Earth needed this alliance, but they wouldn't get it by hiding their true capabilities. High Council, humans evolved on a world with higher gravity than most Coalition species experience. This has made us naturally stronger and more resilient. But our true advantage lies here. He touched the back of his neck where his neural implant was located. Neural technology, Jack explained. These implants allow us to connect directly with our machines, When facing those raiders, I wasn't just piloting the Pathfinder. I became the Pathfinder. My mind connected directly to the ship's systems. My reactions weren't limited by physical controls. The ship responded to my thoughts at the speed of thought itself. A murmur ran through the council chamber. Several representatives began speaking urgently to each other. "That's impossible," one council member said loudly. "Organic minds cannot interface directly with machines at that level. The processing demands would overwhelm any biological brain." Dr. Tal, the coalition's chief scientist, stepped forward. His species had evolved from aquatic creatures, and he still needed a moisture field around his body to survive. "Not necessarily," Dr. Tal said, his large eyes blinking rapidly in excitement. "Theoretically, a sufficiently evolved neural structure could manage such an interface, though we've never seen it successfully implemented. The energy requirements alone would be—" "It's not just me," Jack interrupted. "Every crew member on the Pathfinder has this capability. When we work together, our minds linked to different ship systems, we function as a single organism." The council chamber erupted in voices. High Counselor Wren had to signal several times for quiet. "If what you say is true," Wren said once order was restored, "it represents a technology far beyond what we expected from your species. You understand our concern. What you described is not just a defensive capability, but potentially a significant military advantage." Jack nodded. "We understand your concerns. That's why we've come openly, seeking alliance rather than conflict. Earth has much to learn from the Coalition, and we believe we have much to offer in return." Dr. Tal could barely contain his excitement. "High Counselor, I request permission to study this technology further. The applications could revolutionize our approach to space travel." Wren considered this for a moment. "Commander Porter, would you and your crew be willing to demonstrate this capability under controlled conditions? The Council needs to fully understand what we're dealing with." Jack looked at his officers, who all nodded slightly. "We would," Jack replied. "But understand this. Humanity developed this technology not for war, but for exploration. The neural interface allows us perfect control in the dangerous environment of space. It lets us operate our ship with minimal crew and resources. It's how we've compensated for our limitations." High Counselor Wren's expression was unreadable. "The test will be arranged for tomorrow. Until then, you and your crew will be honored guests on the station." As they left the council chamber, Mike whispered to Jack, "They're scared of us now." "No," Jack corrected him. "They're intrigued by us. There's a difference." What neither Jack nor his crew realized was that the Coalition leaders were now engaged in urgent discussions about what the arrival of humans truly meant for the future of galactic politics. One ship with these capabilities was interesting. A fleet of such vessels would be revolutionary or terrifying, depending on one's perspective. And somewhere in the shadows of the station, other eyes watched with great interest. Not everyone in the Coalition welcomed the idea of a new species with such unique abilities joining their ranks. News of the human ship's performance spread quickly through the Coalition space station. Aliens from many different species found reasons to walk past Docking Bay 4, hoping to catch a glimpse of the Pathfinder and its crew. Inside the Coalition's secure meeting room, High Counselor Wren watched the recording of the battle against the raiders for the 10th time. "Play it again," he ordered, his silvery fingers tapping on the table. "Slow it down to 1/4 speed." The holographic display showed the human ship dodging energy beams that should have hit it, responding to attacks almost before they happened. "It's not just fast reflexes," Dr. Tal said, his moist skin glistening under the room's lights. "Look at how the ship adjusts its shield strength exactly where needed, milliseconds before impact. That's beyond what even our best AIs can manage." Ambassador Nex's facial tentacles twisted nervously. "If their neural technology works as they claim, it changes everything. Our membership offer was based on the assumption that humans would remain a minor power for centuries, gradually building up their fleet while depending on Coalition protection." Wren nodded slowly. Instead, we've discovered a species that might soon match or exceed our technological capabilities. Should we refuse their membership? Asked Defense Minister Kraft, a heavily armored reptilian being. Perhaps it would be safer to keep them isolated until we understand their full capabilities. Dr. Tal made a bubbling sound that indicated disagreement in his species. That would be a mistake. This neural interface technology has applications far beyond warfare. Imagine the advances in medicine, exploration, even arts and entertainment. We should embrace this opportunity. Or, Kraft countered, we could be inviting our own destruction. One human ship nearly matches 3 of our vessels. What would happen if they built 10 ships, or 100? High Counselor Wren raised a hand for silence. We will proceed with the test tomorrow. Until then, I want complete surveillance on the humans and their ship. Not intrusive enough to detect, but I want to know everything they do. And after the test? Nex asked. After the test, Wren said quietly, we will decide whether humans are to be our greatest allies or our greatest concern. Jack and his crew were given quarters on the residential level of the station. The rooms were comfortable, if slightly strange to human tastes. The beds were too soft, the air too humid, and the gravity just a little too light. Still, after months in the confined space of the Pathfinder, it was a welcome change. Lisa knocked on Jack's door that evening. When he opened it, she held a small device in her hand. Found this, she whispered, pointing to the device. Listening technology, advanced, but detectable. Jack wasn't surprised. They'd be fools not to monitor us. Find any others. 3 in each of our rooms. None that can see, just listen. Jack nodded. Tell the others. Be careful what you say, but don't mention that we know. Lisa smiled. Already did. Mike says he's been talking to his about Earth sports for the last hour. Figures whoever's listening is bored to tears by now. Jack laughed. Good. Let's give them nothing useful. Tomorrow is what matters. The test chamber was enormous, a spherical space nearly a kilometer across with specialized equipment along the walls. In the center floated the Pathfinder, surrounded by 5 Coalition training vessels. Each was approximately the same size as the human ship, but bore the distinctive markings of the Coalition Defense Force. Jack and his bridge crew stood in the observation room with High Counselor Wren, Dr. Tal, and several other Coalition officials. A large view screen showed the ships floating in the test chamber. We've prepared a combat simulation, Wren explained, gesturing to the screen. Your Pathfinder against 5 of our training vessels. If you succeed, we'll reconsider our fleet requirement. Jack studied the setup. Those ships are drone-controlled. Yes, Dr. Tal confirmed. They're linked to our most advanced combat eye. It's been programmed with the data from your encounter with the Raiders. Jack exchanged glances with his crew. The Coalition wanted to study human capabilities more closely, to learn their limits. Refusing would only fuel their suspicions. We accept, he said, but we'll need to board our ship. Of course, Wren nodded. A shuttle is waiting to take you to the Pathfinder. As they walked toward the shuttle bay, Tom whispered to Jack, they're trying to figure out how to beat us. Yes, Jack agreed. And we're going to show them exactly why they can't. Aboard the Pathfinder, the crew took their stations on the bridge. Jack settled into the command chair, feeling the familiar connection to his ship. They've analyzed our previous battle, he said to his team. They'll be expecting the same tactics. So we'll give them something new. Lissa looked up from her station. Neural mesh. Jack nodded. Full integration. All of us. This would be different from their usual interface. Normally, each crew member connected to their own stations. Jack to command and navigation, Mike to tactical, Lisa to communications, Tom to ship systems. The neural mesh would link all of their minds together, creating a shared consciousness within the ship. They had trained for this, but rarely used it. The mental strain was intense. Are you sure? Tom asked. We've never maintained a full mesh for more than 5 minutes in practice. I'm sure, Jack replied. This isn't just about winning their test. It's about showing them why Earth doesn't need a fleet. Each crew member activated their neural implants. This time, instead of simply connecting to the ship's systems, they connected to each other. Jack felt his consciousness expand, merging with his crew's minds. Their thoughts, their perceptions, their skills, all became accessible to him, and his to them. The Pathfinder was no longer a ship operated by 5 people. It had become a single organism with a 5-part mind. In the observation room, Dr. Tal monitored the readings from the human ship. Energy patterns are changing, he reported. Different from before. More. Synchronized. High Counselor Wren nodded. Begin the test. The 5 coalition vessels moved with perfect coordination, clearly controlled by a central eye rather than individual pilots. They had studied the Pathfinder's previous encounter and adapted their strategy accordingly. But what they faced now was unlike anything their AI had been programmed to handle. The Pathfinder moved in ways that defied conventional space combat tactics. It used the minimal gravity fields within the test chamber to alter its trajectory in unpredictable ways. It managed its energy in patterns that made no sense until the moment they proved decisive. When the coalition ships fired, the Pathfinder wasn't where they aimed. When they tried to predict its movements, it changed patterns instantly. When they attempted to surround it, it created false sensor readings that confused their targeting systems. In the observation room, the coalition officials watched in stunned silence. They're not just interfacing with their ship, Dr. Tal realized, his instruments showing impossible neural activity. They're interfacing with each other, a hive mind within a single vessel. Defense Minister Kraft's scales darkened with alarm. One mind controlling an entire ship. Imagine if they had more than one. I believe, High Counselor Wren said quietly. That is precisely what Commander Porter is trying to show us. They don't need 50 ships because each of their ships has capabilities far beyond our own. On the view screen, the Pathfinder executed a series of maneuvers that left 3 coalition vessels disabled. The remaining 2 continued to fight, but their movements seemed clumsy and predictable compared to the human ship's fluid grace. I've seen enough, Wren said, raising a hand. End the simulation. The coalition ships powered down their weapons and returned to their starting positions. The Pathfinder hovered in the center of the test chamber, seemingly unaffected by the intense battle it had just fought. Have the humans return to the station, Wren ordered. The Council must discuss this immediately. As the officials filed out of the observation room, Dr. Tal remained, staring at the neural activity readings from the human ship. Fascinating, he whispered. They've evolved in a completely different direction than any species we've encountered. Not more ships, better integration with the ones they have. In the shadows of the room, Defense Minister Kraft lingered, his reptilian eyes narrowed. Or more dangerous, he hissed softly. Much more dangerous. Jack disconnected from the neural mesh with a gasp. Sharing his mind with 4 other people, while controlling a spaceship pushed the limits of what even their advanced implants could handle. The rest of the crew looked equally drained, taking deep breaths as their consciousness returned fully to their individual bodies. Everyone okay? Jack asked, rubbing the back of his neck where his neural implant felt warm against his skin. That was intense, Lisa replied, her voice slightly shaky. But it worked. Mike grinned from his tactical station. Did you see their ships trying to predict our movements? Like watching children play chess against a master. Don't get overconfident, Tom warned. They were studying us as much as testing us. Next time will be harder. Jack nodded. Tom's right. The Coalition now has data on our neural mesh capabilities. They'll adapt. A message came through on the ship's communication system. Commander Porter, please bring your crew back to the station. The Council wishes to speak with you. As the human crew prepared to leave their ship, another meeting was taking place in a rarely used section of the space station. Unlike the bright, open chambers where the High Council met, this room was small and dark, with security measures that prevented any surveillance. Defense Minister Krath sat at a simple table with 3 other beings, each representing a different faction within the coalition. "You've all seen the test results," Krath said, his reptilian voice a low hiss. "These humans are a threat unlike any we faced before." General Drav, a hulking 4-armed warrior whose species had been among the founding members of the coalition, growled in agreement. "One ship that can defeat 5 of ours. Their neural technology gives them an unacceptable advantage. The High Council seems eager to welcome them," said Merchant Prince Lox, his thin fingers tapping nervously on the table. "Dr. Tal speaks of nothing but the commercial and scientific applications of their technology." The 4th figure remained hooded, their species impossible to determine. When they spoke, their voice was artificially modulated. "The Council sees only opportunity. They are blind to the danger. If humans were to share this neural technology with other species, or worse, build more ships." Krath nodded grimly. "The balance of power would shift dramatically. Our species have worked for centuries to maintain stability in this sector of the galaxy. These humans could destroy that balance in a generation. What do you propose?" asked General Drav. "We must act before the Council makes its decision," Krath replied. "We have a narrow window of opportunity while the human ship remains on the station." The hooded figure leaned forward slightly. "You're suggesting sabotage." "I'm suggesting we protect the coalition," Krath corrected. "Their ship must experience a unfortunate accident, one that damages their neural interface system beyond repair." "And if the accident happens to harm the humans as well?" General Drav asked. Krath's scales shifted color slightly, the equivalent of a shrug in his species. "Then we will mourn the tragic loss of our potential new allies." Jack and his crew were escorted to a smaller meeting room rather than the main council chamber. Only High Counselor Wren, Ambassador Nex, and Dr. Tal were present. "Please sit." Wren gestured to seats around the table. "What you demonstrated today was remarkable." "Thank you," Jack replied cautiously. The reduced number of officials made him wonder what was happening. "Has the Council reached a decision about Earth's membership?" Wren's silvery fingers tapped on the table. "Not yet. Your capabilities have caused considerable debate. Some see tremendous opportunity in an alliance with Earth. Others see concerns." "Concerns?" Lisa asked. Dr. Tal leaned forward eagerly. "Your neural mesh technology is far beyond what we anticipated from a species at your technological level. The ability to join minds and integrate so completely with your vessel is unprecedented. We developed it out of necessity," Jack explained. "Earth doesn't have the resources to build a large fleet. We had to maximize the efficiency of the ships we could build." "An elegant solution," Nex admitted, his facial tentacles moving slowly. "But you must understand the political implications. Some coalition members see your technology as potentially destabilizing." Jack nodded slowly. "You're afraid of what would happen if we built more ships like the Pathfinder, or if other species adopted your neural technology," Wren added. "The balance of power that has maintained peace in the coalition for centuries could shift dramatically." "We came here seeking friendship," Tom said, his voice firm. "Earth has no interest in galactic politics or power struggles." Wren studied the humans carefully. "Perhaps not now, but intentions can change over time." "What do you propose?" Jack asked. "We need time," Wren replied. "The full council will continue debating your membership tomorrow. In the meantime, you and your crew should return to your quarters. For security reasons, access to your ship will be restricted until a decision is reached." Jack felt a prickle of unease. "Our ship contains sensitive systems. We'd prefer if at least one crew member remained aboard." "I assure you, Commander," Nex said smoothly, "the Pathfinder will be perfectly safe in our docking bay. Coalition security will ensure that no one approaches it without authorization." Jack exchanged glances with his crew. Something didn't feel right, but refusing would only increase suspicion. "Very well," he agreed reluctantly. "We'll return to our quarters." Later that evening, Jack gathered his crew in his quarters. Lisa had once again swept the room for listening devices and activated a small jammer that would give them a few minutes of privacy. "They're afraid of us," Mike said, keeping his voice low despite the jammer. "Did you see Ren's face when he talked about balance of power?" "Not all of them," Tom pointed out. "Dr. Tal seems genuinely excited about our technology. He sees the scientific potential, and some see the military potential," Jack replied grimly. "I don't like being separated from the Pathfinder." Lisa nodded in agreement. Something's happening that they're not telling us. The restricted meeting, the sudden security concerns. Could they be planning to study our ship without our knowledge? Tom suggested. Or worse, Jack said quietly. "We need to get back to the Pathfinder. Tonight." "How?" Mike asked. "The docking bay is restricted." Jack smiled slightly. "They're thinking about our ship as hardware, but the neural interface works both ways." He tapped the implant at the base of his skull. "I can still connect to the Pathfinder systems from here. It's weaker at this distance, but enough to activate certain protocols." The emergency recall, Lisa realized. But that would trigger alarms throughout the station. "Exactly," Jack said. "When those alarms go off, Coalition security will be watching the docking bay entrances. They won't be expecting us to come from outside." He looked at Mike. "How fast can you get us access to an exterior airlock?" Mike grinned. "Give me 10 minutes with their computer systems." "Do it," Jack ordered. "Tom, Lisa, get ready for a spacewalk. We're going back to our ship." As the crew prepared, Jack couldn't help wondering what they would find when they reached the Pathfinder. If someone was interfering with their ship, the diplomatic consequences would be severe. But his first duty was to protect Earth's technology and his crew. Somewhere else on the station, Defense Minister Krath received a message from his operative. "Team in position. Beginning operation in 30 minutes." The Coalition's dilemma about the humans was about to take a dangerous turn. The space outside the Coalition station was silent and vast. Jack, Tom, and Lisa floated in their spacesuits, maneuvering carefully with small thrusters. Mike had remained behind to coordinate from their quarters, hacking into the station's systems to guide them safely to the Pathfinder. "Security teams are focused on the main docking bay entrance." Mike's voice came through their helmet communicators. "No one's watching the exterior. You're clear to approach." Jack looked at the huge space station stretching out before them. Their ship was docked on the far side, requiring them to travel nearly half a kilometer along the station's outer hull. "Stay close to the surface," Jack instructed his team. "Their external sensors are designed to detect incoming ships, not people in spacesuits." They moved silently along the station, using maintenance handholds to pull themselves forward. After 15 minutes of careful movement, they finally saw the Pathfinder in its docking bay. The external doors were open, allowing them to see directly into the bay. And what they saw made Jack's blood run cold. A team of 8 aliens in specialized work suits surrounded the Pathfinder. They had opened several access panels and appeared to be installing devices on the hull. "They're sabotaging our ship," Tom whispered, his voice tight with anger. Lisa zoomed in with her helmet's visual enhancements. Those devices looked like explosive charges. "They're planning to destroy the Pathfinder completely." Jack's mind raced. They were outnumbered, and in spacesuits, they would be at a disadvantage in a direct confrontation. "Mike," he called quietly, "can you access the Pathfinder systems remotely?" "I've been trying," Mike replied. "But they've installed some kind of blocking device. I can't establish a neural link." Jack made a quick decision. New plan. "We need to reach the emergency airlock on the underside of the ship. If we can get inside without them noticing, we can use the ship's internal systems to deal with them." "And if they do notice?" Tom asked. Jack's expression was grim behind his helmet visor. "Then we show them why humans don't need a fleet to be dangerous." Inside the station, High Counselor Ren was working late in his office when Dr. Tal burst in, his moist skin glistening with agitation. "Counselor, we have a problem," Dr. Tal said urgently. My security clearance allowed me to detect unauthorized access to Docking Bay 4. Someone is tampering with the human ship. Ren stood up immediately. Who authorized this? No one did, officially, Dr. Tal replied. But the access codes belong to Defense Minister Kraft's security team. Ren's expression darkened. He's making a terrible mistake. If the humans discover this. There's more, Dr. Tal interrupted. The human quarters are empty. All 4 of them have disappeared. The High Counselor moved swiftly to his communication panel. Security alert. Find the humans immediately and send a team to Docking Bay 4. Stop whatever Kraft's people are doing. But it was already too late. Jack, Tom, and Lisa reached the emergency airlock on the underside of the Pathfinder undetected. Years of training for space emergencies allowed them to move in perfect coordination, staying in the shadow of their ship to avoid being spotted. The airlock was small, designed for emergencies, but large enough for one person at a time. Jack entered first, waited for the chamber to pressurize, then moved into the ship. Tom and Lisa followed. Once inside, Jack immediately headed for the bridge, while Tom went to engineering and Lisa to the weapons control room. Their plan was simple but dangerous. They would need perfect timing. On the bridge, Jack settled into his command chair and placed his hands on the neural interface panels. Without the specialized headgear they normally used, the connection would be weaker but still functional. Neural link established, Jack said into his communicator. Tom, status. Engineering systems online. Tom replied. I have control of all power systems. Lisa. Weapons systems ready, she confirmed. But Jack, we can't fire while docked. We'd damage the station. We're not going to fire, Jack explained. We're going to scare them. Through the neural interface, Jack could see the saboteurs still working on the hull. He counted 8 figures, all wearing coalition security uniforms, but moving with the precision of special operations forces. On my mark, Jack instructed. Tom, full power to external hull sensors. Lisa, target weapon systems on each saboteur but don't fire. Mike, are you still monitoring station communications? Yes, Mike's voice came through. And there's a lot of confusion. Sounds like someone high up just discovered what's happening. Security teams are heading your way. Officially this time. Perfect, Jack said. Everyone ready. 3, 2, 1, mark. The Pathfinder suddenly came to life. Its external lights blazed to full brightness, temporarily blinding the saboteurs. The weapons targeting systems activated, projecting visible targeting lasers that fixed on each of the 8 figures outside. The ship's engines hummed with power, not enough to break free from the docking clamps, but enough to make it clear the vessel was now fully operational. Jack opened the external communication system. Attention unauthorized personnel on the hull of Earth vessel Pathfinder. You are targeted by our defense systems. Remove the explosive devices immediately and move away from our ship. The saboteurs froze, clearly surprised that the ship was active. After a moment of confusion, they began to retreat, pushing away from the hull toward the docking bay entrance. Just then, official coalition security forces arrived, led by High Counselor Ren himself. The saboteurs found themselves caught between the human ship's targeting systems and their own people. Defense Minister Krath, Ren's voice boomed through the bay's communication system. Your actions are unauthorized and constitute an act of aggression against potential coalition allies. Stand down immediately. Jack watched through the ship's sensors as Krath, identifiable by his distinctive reptilian features, hesitated before finally signaling his team to surrender. 2 hours later, Jack and his crew sat once again in the High Council chamber, but this time the mood was entirely different. All members of the council were present, with Defense Minister Krath conspicuously absent. Commander Porter, High Counselor Ren began, his voice formal but respectful. On behalf of the coalition, I offer our sincere apologies for what occurred. The actions taken against your ship were not authorized by this council. Jack nodded acknowledgement but remained cautious. What happens now? Minister Krath, and his conspirators will face justice for their actions, Ren assured him. As for Earth's membership application, he paused, looking around at the other council members before continuing. We have reached a unanimous decision. The chamber fell silent as everyone waited for the verdict. The requirement for a defensive fleet was based on our understanding of conventional warfare and space travel. Ren explained. Your approach is unconventional, but demonstrably effective. Dr. Tal stepped forward, unable to contain his enthusiasm. Your neural interface technology represents an entirely new paradigm. One ship with your capabilities is indeed equivalent to a traditional fleet. Therefore, Ren continued, Earth will be granted full membership in the coalition, with no requirement to build additional vessels. Instead, we propose a technology exchange program, with appropriate safeguards for both sides. Jack looked at his crew, seeing their relief and pride. The exchange program sounds promising. Earth has much to learn from the coalition, and it seems we may have some things to teach as well. Indeed, Ren agreed. Today has taught us an important lesson about making assumptions. We thought humans needed a fleet to protect themselves and contribute to coalition security. Jack smiled. And we showed you that humans find different solutions to problems. It's how we've survived on Earth. We adapt, we innovate, and we make the most of what we have. The coalition had expected humans to follow the same path as every other species, building bigger fleets, competing for resources, thinking of space as a place to be conquered. Instead, humans had shown them that sometimes the most powerful force wasn't the size of your fleet, but the way you connected with the ships you had. As Jack and his crew prepared the Pathfinder for the journey back to Earth with news of their success, he reflected on what this alliance would mean for humanity's future. They would still build more ships eventually, but not as weapons of war. They would be vessels of exploration, science, and connection, each one an extension of the human minds that guided them. The coalition had thought humans needed a fleet. They were so not true.